Good evening and welcome to this edition of the Island Stat Sports Show. I'm your host, Earl Baston, and joining me is co-host Jason Ford. We do have, we had two of the qualifiers for the Butterfield Bermuda Championship. We're about to get the second one back. We have Damian Paliandi with us, as well as Chaka De Silva. Gentlemen, first of all, congratulations. Making it to a PGA Tour event, whether it be on home soil or not. Being on home soil makes it even more special. But just your sense of relief of getting through the finish line third time around. Damien, did you play the first year qualifier?
I did. I played in the first year, not the second year. So.
Oh, okay. I knew you, and then you played once in the qualifier, and then this time. But getting through that finish line on the second attempt for you as an amateur, what was the moment like when you realized you were in the field?
Yeah, it was just surreal, to be honest. I didn't know until after I sunk the last putt, and it's it's an incredible feeling. Just very grateful for the opportunity, and hopefully go out there and play some good golf.
What about you, Chaka? Golf is one of those ups and down things. You're in it good, and then it doesn't go so well, and then you're back on top of things. So what was it like for you after you realized you were in the field for next week?
To be honest, it really hasn't set in yet. To be honest, I was out there and I was kind of in my own little bubble. Even when I walked off at 18, I really didn't dawn, and I hadn't signed a scorecard and I hadn't looked at a leaderboard, so I really wasn't too sure. And then afterwards, it kind of set in that, geez, I got to play in a PGA Tour event. Now I'm getting a little nervous. So I really haven't had an opportunity to really be excited. But to be honest with you, I've been practicing a lot more than I normally do. So I'm starting to feel a little bit better about my golf game. So now I'm starting to get excited for it.
Jay?
Well, guys, first things first, congratulations on the opportunity. And for both of you, you mentioned, Amy, you mentioned the opportunity to have this event here locally and to offer the guys the opportunity to play in a PGA event. It's got to be a dream come true to you guys. Talk about the opportunity that you actually now have next week.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a dream come true. Every kid growing up playing golf always dreams of playing on the PGA Tour, and we're just very lucky to have this opportunity. Include both pros and AMs. It's incredible. It's I don't even know how to put it into words. Just grinning ear to ear all the time, having that chance. So it's a good feeling.
One of the things, if you guys have experienced already in the two previous events, is the local boys get a lot of following. And, when their name's called, there's always this big, loud cheer. Have you prepared yourself for that? And obviously, that first tee shot, I got to get it down the middle. Do you think, you be comfortable in that setting, Chaka?
No, not at all. It's going to be very uncomfortable. I remember preparing for last year's qualifier, and I couldn't really sleep the night before thinking about that 3-iron down number one. I can't imagine how much worse this is going to be, but I know it's going to be a magnitude of probably 10. I've told my caddy already, you know what, talk to me after the fifth hole. If I can feel my fingers, then we'll talk about trying to get around the golf course and what we're going to try to accomplish.
Well, that's how you handle your nerves. Just don't talk to me. Let me do what I got to do.
It's going to be something different. I mean, I got to experience some of it, of what you're referring to as far as Daniel, when I caddied for him in the first year. So I know we're going to get a huge following, but no, I'm not gonna be have anything to relate it to or to be able to prepare for that. But you know what? I'm going to embrace it and try to use it to my advantage and hit a good tee shot, right?
Sure. And Damien, as an amateur amongst these professionals, you won't have to add no pressure to yourself because no one's expecting you to win. But everybody starts at zero, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's good that I'm the lowest on the rung here, and I won't have too many expectations compared to these guys. So hopefully, I go in there swinging more freely and just enjoy the moment.
Yeah. What are some of the things that you get frustrated about yourself in your game that you're hoping you can control, especially on top of nerves this next week?
Just trying to stay composed and being patient. Sometimes when you try to force things and they don't go your way, you get a little frustrated. So just trying to stay patient and, do what I can when I can.
Chaka, you said you was on Daniel's bag two years ago, and you've been in the environment, although the cheers were for Daniel. How do you think the crowd plays, or the very knowledgeable crowd in Bermuda play to the tournament?
I guess for us locals, it's gonna be at our advantage, right? They're gonna be all rooting for us. So I mean, I'm gonna enjoy it. I mean, like I said, I'm gonna have tons of my Mid-Ocean members follow me around, tons of family and friends. So you know what? Hopefully, I can stay comfortable, and they're not gonna be rooting against me. So hopefully, it's an advantage.
Maybe they can have a shot or two for you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Guys, what hole on this course that says, you know what, if I get across this hole and I par or birdie, I should do good. What hole gives you troubles at night?
That first tee shot and number 4.
I'd say probably 13 and 15.
Number 4. Why number 4, Chaka? Because of the dog leg, right?
Well,
right.
It's the toughest hill on the golf course, right? I think it's the number 1 ranked hill, and it's a beast, man. From those back tees, we don't play it back there very often, and it's a tough hill. It normally plays predominantly into it, and that's the hill that's got me out of the event the last couple of years. So first year I made a 9 on 4, and second year I pulled my calf on 4. So for me it's 4. I get across 4, I'm okay.
Oh, okay. All right. Wow. The memories of a hill. Yeah. But looking at your 2 rounds, and I've talked to people about this before. Would you guys be more comfortable trying to play a 3-round qualifier as opposed to a 2-round qualifier, just to give you a sense of, if you make the cut, you're going into kind of the unknown of playing. I know you probably play 3 or 4 straight days, but now you've got the added pressure. So the added pressure of the trial of the qualifier, would that help you guys to settle down even more?
Damien, you want to answer?
Yes and no. I mean, I think it's long enough just so where you can play yourself out of it on the first day, but it's short enough to where you have to be on your toes and play some good golf. I agree that it might, simulate making the cut more, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't really have an opinion.
Yeah, I think 2 rounds is enough to separate the field and to pick out the best golfers. Most Monday qualifiers for events are one day 18-hole tournament. So 2 rounds is enough. Also, you got to think about local golf professionals taking 3 days off from their normal job, and golfers that are overseas having to fly back for more than 2 days. So yeah, I think 2 days is good. I think it's perfect.
Okay. You got another one, Jay?
Yeah. So we're talking about opportunity. There's a great opportunity for you guys, and I hate to see this because Earl's on this show. Chaka's a St. George's person. I don't know about you, Damien.
St. George's.
But opportunity. Hold on, your gear. I'm pretty sure you guys have figured out what you're wearing by now. I mean, any particular sponsors you're trying to attract?
Ask Chaka what he wore when he qualified.
Yeah, I wear blue predominantly every day, all day, right? Um, um, so I went to Mid Ocean, and I'm gonna wear a Mid Ocean logo on my shirt. So I picked up 2 blue shirts from Mid Ocean. Puma offered to give me a couple shirts. I asked for them to be in blue. The only problem is we got to wear pink on the first day.
Do we?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's
I got a lot of blue shirts, but I got to wear pink now.
Yeah.
Damien, what about you, Damien? What's your girl looking like?
Blue.
St. George's, man.
Pink and blue.
You expected something different?
I was. I can't be outnumbered by everybody. At least.
Yeah.
Not to worry. You be rooting for them no matter what they're wearing.
Oh, I will be.
Yeah.
With my eyes closed, I'll listen to the commentary.
Yeah, I mean, if we would have had Michael would have been the only guy I think in her that would have been a blue. I mean, red.
Yeah. But not to worry.
Even Kimiko would have been, I think, blue.
Yep. Well, actually, you know what? Because unfortunately, Michael is abroad, caddying, Kamika is abroad, and Brian is unavailable to join us tonight. Let me hear you guys talk about the other guys who qualified and what you think about their game. I'll tell you what, Damien, you take Kamiko, and Chaka, you take Michael.
Absolutely.
Okay. I haven't really played with Kamiko recently, but from what I've seen, he was playing behind me in the qualifier. His swing looks silky smooth. He's obviously put in a lot of work. He looks fit. He's hitting the ball a long way. I think mentally he's improved tremendously. So he's one guy to look out for.
So I think I got Michael picked to make the cut this year, man. Michael is, I think, this is his year. He's done this now. This is his 3rd year in a row. I think he's gonna go out there and do some phenomenal things. He's by far the most gifted golfer I've had the opportunity to play with, and I played with VJ and a couple other pros too, right? But local golfer for sure. Michael hands down is probably the most naturally gifted golfer Bermuda's seen. Michael can do he's going to go a long way, I think, in this tournament this year.
Also, guys, talk a little bit about Brian. The opportunity Brian's got, and just totally good. And also, which I was surprised, another St. George's person.
Absolutely. Oh.
Well, Brian's a close friend of mine. He was actually, one of my coaches when I was growing up, back in junior golf, back at Belmont, fitness training with Brian on Thursdays. So, he took me under his wing, and I'm very grateful to play in the tournament with him. I think it's a dream come true for both of us, and to do it at the same time, same tournament, is really awesome.
When I saw that news flash on my phone, if it was Tuesday evening, it came out that night before, right?
Right.
And I actually shed a tear, man. I was so happy for Brian. It was a relief for me, and made me feel even better about getting into the qualifier, knowing that I wasn't going to take an opportunity away from Brian. And it made me even push harder. I spoke to Brian a lot that night before, and I actually was happier for Brian than I'm happy for myself to be in this year's event.
But we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll have more with the qualifiers for the Butterfield Bermuda Championship, which gets underway next week. We'll be right back.
John Barrett & Son, Bermuda's leading distributor of fine beverages, have brought us something fresh and exciting this month. Mystic Juices, skillfully blended for captivating flavor and loaded with nutritional value. Mystic Juices not only taste remarkably good, one serving will supply an abundance of vitamins A and C, more than a certified measure needed to meet your daily requirements. This month we're featuring delicious and nutritious Mystic Juices in an enticing range of flavors in 64 and 16-ounce bottles. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
My inspiration to write this book has to do with empowering. I want people to understand what it looks like when you are in a position when you don't have the tools around you. If you know me or don't know me, the game, the beautiful game of football, soccer, is and always was a way out. I'm still fearful on what to do, what would happen if I say something.
What can we do in this book to incorporate tools to help specifically our group of young people in Bermuda?
Could you imagine doing a read with little people and breaking everything down for them and having them to have a voice and having conversation pieces, if it's chapter by chapter?
And welcome back. Obviously, guys, you've played the qualifier at the place where the tournament will be held. I know, Chaka, you've already talked about number 4. Obviously, Damien, you talked about 15 and 16 or 13 and 15?
13. Well, yeah, mostly 15 now.
Yeah. What worries you or bothers you about 15? Is it that you're hitting out of, or you're hitting into a wide open space after being up in a little curve area?
I just think that you coming down to the wire and you really got to make it count, and you have a really demanding tee shot where it's a really good hole in terms of risk and reward. You can bang driver and have 80 yards in, and it all of a sudden becomes a birdie hole, or you can play it safe off the tee, hit a 3-iron, and then you have like 180 in. But it's still a tough green to hit, especially when the wind's blowing. So, you know, it demands 2 really good shots, in my opinion. It's a tough hole. It's a really good hole, and it can make or break the tournament for some players. So.
Right. Chaka, let me ask you, being that you're going to be playing, how do you play in a foursome for you personally? Because some guys would be, in other sports as well as golf, if someone picks up a club and drives it, and you can't drive it as long as they can or they have, do you try to do you kind of come out of your skin sometimes and say, well, let me see if I can hit it that far to make my life as easy? Or what do you tell yourself that stay within my game, stay within my lane and kind of just play my game? How often do you go through that?
Yeah, so I've been thinking about that for the last couple of days. Being in a group that I'm probably going to be hitting first into most greens. I don't normally find myself in that position normally. I play with Damien in my group, and he knocked it across me a couple of times. So, am I gonna pull driver more, or am I gonna swing harder? I hope not. I hope I have the concentration level to just sit there and hit it where I want to hit it and swing smoothly or swing within myself. But I probably will at some point, say, this guy can't knock it that far fast and swing a little harder. But yeah, it's going to be interesting again, finding yourself in these positions that you don't really find yourself in normally, and how you're going to deal with it. I don't know how to answer it right now because I never dealt with it, right? I'll have to see on the day. Ask me on day 2.
Okay. I'll ask you at the end of day 1.
Yeah, though.
What about you, Damien? Because obviously, getting off that tee box, trying to not be the first one to hit a game. How do you plan or when you play, how do you plan to deal with that if you have to do that?
I mean, every situation is different, but I generally have a game plan. You can generally see the wind direction the night before, and make a game plan. But when it comes to standing over the ball, everything's different. I'm pretty sure I'll make stupid mistakes and be aggressive, and I shouldn't be. Try to hit the ball as far as these guys. But that's golf. That's just part of growing. That's just experience, and hopefully I can make the right decision at the right time.
Yeah, Jay.
we're coming to that time of the year in Bermuda where we have some rain.
Yeah.
They say it never rains on a golf course. I said that's a lie. I've been out there. How do you guys prepare for something like that, especially when you have a tournament like this? What will be obviously the ideal situation probably will be sunny, but it is for some of the guys. I know when it does rain on a lot of courses, it brings the course back to a lot of players who don't hit as well. What will be an ideal situation for you guys weather-wise for next week?
I want it to be cool and windy. I don't mind rain. I normally, the previous question, rain kind of helps you stay in your bubble, right? You don't really kind of makes you concentrate even more. I don't like playing in the rain. I find that I do play well in the rain. The added difference will be this year is that you're going to have a caddy. You're not going to be carrying your own bag. How are you going to be dealing with your equipment as far as keeping it dry and stuff like that? That's going to be a different twist to it. But I'll love to see it windy again. I think me and Damien would prefer better if it was windy than if it was calm. Those guys are going to be just getting super low.
And Jay, that question there, everyone has said that. Anyone that's played the game, in a bit and around the game, they want it to be a challenging course. And one of the challenges would be to have that wind to bring those guys back to these guys, because obviously they've played it enough to know where, when, how to hit the ball. Not saying it always works out, but the golf course kind of becomes an even golf course for everyone if there's a bit of a breeze. So Damien, what wind condition and direction, because that's the interesting part, makes the golf course that much tougher?
I'm not sure. Anything that's playing, I think maybe like a west wind, or like southwest wind is pretty tough. It's generally their usual direction, but I mean, just because you have 15 and 16 into the wind left to right, big misses to the right. You have 14 blowing out of bounds, 13 into the wind, 12 into the wind. The whole back nine is pretty tough, I think.
Right. Talk us a little bit about the 8th hole, because that's the one where you're up in the back, Chaka, again. You're up in the back. You really, if the wind's coming out of that southwest, you really can't feel it. You can only go by you're judging the flag on the stick as to where you want to put it. But once that ball gets up and into that wind out of the calmness, how does one play that? How does one try to ensure that they stay on the green? Because I've seen tons of guys misread it and end up over the back or down in the bunker.
Yeah. So in golf, they tell you to take one shot at a time and not to go too far ahead. That's the one time I think where it makes sense to just look a hole ahead. When you're standing on 7 green, if you're up there, you're closer to 8 green. If you're looking up there right there, you can feel the wind a lot better at 7 green than you do on 8 tee box. So while you're kind of reading your putt or in between shots on 7, if you just take a second just to figure out where the wind's coming from, it can help you out on the next tee shot.
Sure, definitely. I mean, that's a good way to look at it as well. Jay and I would just go up there and just pick a club and just swing for the heels.
Rip it and rip it.
Yeah, it's a tricky hole, right? Because the problem with 8 for me as well is, if you got a really hard breeze coming out of your right, you really can't aim and hit it too far right because you got trees down your right side.
Yeah.
So
and if it drops
to hurl it up, you have to kind of hit it really low, or hit something that cuts back into it. And if it's really blue, I don't care what kind of cut you're gonna hit, it's gonna go left hard.
Right. I've seen a lot of people play it safe and just play it just in front of the bunker, in front of the green, and then chip up from there and get out of there with a par kind of thing, as opposed to trying to get a birdie, which can end up into a bogey, double bogey, disaster kind of things. Let me ask you before you guys go, Damien, when did you start taking golf seriously?
I don't know. When I dropped football, I guess.
long ago was that?
Probably about 15 years ago.
Okay. Okay.
He's a lot younger than me, obviously. 15 years ago.
All right, Tucker. We want to start talking age.
I remember the day, man. I remember the day. I was sitting in Freddie Evans's homeroom class, and they brought David James up into the front, and they presented him as some type of award for golf. And I was like, well, my grandfather's Noah Van Putten. I played golf when I was 5 and 6. Like, you can't be that much better than me. And David proceeded to take my lunch money for the next year. Until I started to play golf and signed up for junior golf and started to go to Kim and my grandfather for some golf lessons. And then right around 15 and a half, 16, yeah, just like Damien, it was no more cricket. There was no more football. Ray was a little bit perturbed at that point because I was a shoe-in for cup match. But yeah, it was golf from then on.
And never turn back. Yeah. Well, gentlemen, we want to wish you. Do you have any last question, Jay?
No, I just want to wish these guys all the best. Unfortunately, I have to root for some Georgia's people next week, but hopefully people I don't have to see it. I don't really want to see it. I actually know I'll tune in first day. You're wearing pink. I'll be there. I'll see you first day.
There you go. Pink and blue. Pink and blue. Zimmer in Somerset.
Back to the blue again.
Well, they got a pink and blue club with the red and blue flag. Yeah, they're confused up there. Not to worry. Well, gentlemen, again, thank you very much for your time. We'll see you on the golf course next week as you represent not only St. George's but Bermuda during the Butterfield Bermuda Championships. And again, good luck. We got the island rooting for you, and just all we say is do the best you can and be happy with what you've been able to accomplish. Okay?
There you go. Thank you, guys.
All right, we're going to take another commercial break, and when we come back, we'll be talking the Bermuda Football Association's schedule that's just been released. We'll be right back.
The use of butter goes back millennia, and its exalted status in the cooking world and in so many kitchens is undeniable. Around 3,000 years ago, ghee, or clarified butter, was developed in India and is the cooking oil of choice in many regions of the subcontinent, and compared to butter has a higher smoke point, reduced dairy solids, and a more robust, nuanced flavor. Enter Organic Valley, creators of a certified organic version of this versatile traditional staple. This month we're featuring Organic Valley Ghee Clarified Butter. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
My inspiration to write this book has to do with empowering. I want people to understand what it looks like when you are in a position when you don't have the tools around you. If you know me or don't know me, the game, the beautiful game of football, soccer, is and always was a way out. Still fearful on what to do, what would happen if I say something.
What can we do in this book to incorporate tools to help specifically our group of young people in Bermuda?
Could you imagine doing a read with little people and breaking everything down for them and having them to have a voice and having conversation pieces, if it's chapter by chapter?
And welcome back. Well, Jay, the Bermuda Football Association released the 2021 and 2022 schedule to the clubs earlier today. They haven't kind of put it out to the general public through the media as of yet. I don't know why. I mean, today's society would allow anyone the opportunity. You might as well start sending out stuff. Give the clubs 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. But that old way of doing things is no longer the way to do things because you think you're controlling it. It's uncontrollable because we have it. And the league season will kick off on Saturday night at the BAA field with the Dandy Town Hornets taking on the Devonshire Cougars. So obviously we'll be kicking right in, 9 o'clock start. And then on Sunday, North Village Rams, the defending champions, because remember, we didn't have a champion crown last year, so the 2019 champions, defending champions, North Village Rams, will take on St. George's Colts at Bernard Park. Devonshire Colts will take on Somerset Trojans at Police Field. PHC Zebras will entertain Robin Hood at PHC Stadium. And Crossroads will take on Southampton Rangers at Garrison Field, within the Premier League, Somerset Eagles have a bye. But just hearing that, and you know, a team like lost a team, Southampton Rangers has lost a team, Crossroads have lost a team. It's going to be very, very, very interesting to see how these teams get on, especially the first week of the season.
Well, first things first. Good news, good news, good news, good news, good news. Football is back. I'm just so happy that football is back some way, somehow, some shape, some form.
Yes, yes.
I tell you, to be interesting, the interesting thing is this first week, or maybe first 2 weeks, you could probably flip a coin on any team, because it'll probably be all about which team was able to cope with the last month. Because, you know, some teams actually, I want to say shut it down, but pull back a lot of the training, which might have gave the other team a little more extra time if they took the advantage of the situation, right? So, you know, early the first couple of weeks, it's all about how many players that can get across the 70th minute, let alone 90 minutes, right? And I don't care what team we're talking about. We could talk about the defending champions, or we could talk about the lowest team in the first division. It's how many teams, how many guys are able, and we know, Earl, once your body goes, your mind goes, right? Yeah. So how many guys are in not only physical shape, but mental shape, where when they get to that point, practice games, there hasn't been that many practice games in the last month or so because of the conditions. Right. So prior to that, they was having practice games. So where do you get your legs in that 75th minute? Right. You haven't had a great run. And that could be, once again, you could be a top team, but if your players ain't put in the work, that team that you should be beating, that brings them back to the match.
Definitely. Well, everyone knows the interesting setups with, obviously, Southampton Rangers, you know, losing so many players. Devonshire Cougars have picked up several players, so that should be very interesting. The Saturday night game, the Devonshire Cougars match should be very interesting. I fully understand what you're talking about as far as how many of them can get across 70 minutes. How fast do you start? You know, sometimes you talk about up in the tempo, but you know, as the coach, you're saying it's a lot of football right behind this, and do I want to burn these guys out, risk injury, you know, this early, and then we have another problem down the road? Or do I just want to play comfortable, get everybody behind the ball when we lose it, make sure we stay compact, and if we can get out of there with a 1-0 win, then fine, so be it. If we get out of there with a 0-0 draw, fine, so be it. You know, all those things, because as we know, when things are going good and once you start winning, you get careless. And if you're not in that proper shape, things can be disastrous in a matter of minutes, as we all know.
I guarantee if you pulled or asked the coaches of the first week, all the coaches, I guarantee 75% of them will say it was a tale of two halves.
Yeah.
Because what's the expectations of each team? We talked about this on many other shows before when it comes to sports expectations. You have a team that's had a lot of turnover. What is the expectation? You know, you might have a team that's looking to repeat. What's the expectation? Two different things, right? So when you start, everybody's at 0-0. The first game of the season, nobody's one game up. Everybody's at the same. Managing those expectations, and we know one thing when we talk about a team sport, and you mentioned it earlier, the amount of, especially the teams that have a high turnover, chemistry. And then for some of those teams that incorporated some players from other teams,
Yeah.
when they already had good chemistry.
Yes. I know a lot of people be looking to see what first team Juma puts out for Somerset. What will that team look like? And that chemistry look like? And that togetherness will look like? Obviously, they've had an influx of players as well. You know, and they're playing demonstrations at Police Field. How does that look? And I think even the Somerset Trojans fans will be anxious to see what it looks like.
Well, I'll tell you, and this is when you put on your coaching hat now. This is when you time you actually manage your actual players. The expectations coming into the season. When you having team players come to your team, this is what the expectations. These are the reasons why I pick a certain team. These are why I picked this. If you meet up to this criteria and you meet up to this standard, then you should be in the runnings for a team. But it might come down to tactics against a particular team, how you want to set up your team. So those conversations, a lot of times, you know, we get so strung out on that this is our main 11. But as a good coach might know, our main 11 might really open us up against a certain team. So we might have to play somebody else, play something up. So the first 4 games, pretty much, and you know this, Earl, right up to Christmas, maybe, there's a lot of teams just trying to find themselves.
Yeah.
Now,
Well, let's jump into it.
how many guys are used to starting who don't start? How long do they hang around?
That's the other one. Just remember, they ain't played since December of last year.
That's where you're trying to get it. I understand.
I was a regular starter. No, I'm sitting, Man, I'm looking on the bench. Coach, what you did?
It happens on that cold, rainy, rainy night. You dressed up, you got ready, and that tracksuit never came off, and you just
yeah. Those are the days, those are the nights. Yeah,
I could be doing something else with my life right now.
That's
I want to go back to something you said in the beginning, and this is something that it's been a pet peeve of mine for a while when it comes to our main organization when it comes to sports. Our major leagues are starting next week. Where is the promotional blitz to even promote the game and do these guys justice? Even though they've probably gotten the allowance or just getting the allowance, but just doing social media, just doing video, just and a week in advance. How do you hype up these players? How do you hype up the game, especially when they see other sports around the world or other organizations around the world really give these guys a good push? I mean, we're in an age of, resources and funds can dictate how much advertising, how much exposure you're going to get. But we've seen in the past 4 or 5 years now with the introduction of social media that you can be a creative on the low.
Well,
when I say that, we seem to do that a bit when it comes to our international games. But when we come to our local games, oh, by the way, it's a game of the road. And this is where I think we're not doing our boys justice. Now, is that just on the BFA? Is that only on the teams itself, the clubs itself? I think the clubs can play a hand and promote their own schedule, their own.
I think that's the avenue for domestic football. The avenue for domestic football should be that the club should be promoting their players, their schedule, their home games, and so forth, highlighting their players. And it will be the responsibility of the Bermuda Football Association to do it on the international side. Because remember that the club will be able to say, come, let's have a conversation with the coach. Come, let's have a conversation with the captain. You know what I mean? That type of stuff. So I think the onus has to really fall on and some clubs really do well with the fan base. They really do. Now, can they broaden it? Maybe, but I think they're comfortable in ensuring that their fan base knows what's going on in and around the club using social media. So I think that's where that starts.
And I mean, just to the other thing, Earl, so I happened to go in had to pick up a gym uniform for the little one. So I went to Sidekicks. And I saw a lot of major football jerseys in there, teams around the world. I saw a national team in there. But wouldn't it be nice to see local strips in there?
Definitely. Definitely.
You can go pick up a retro jersey of your blue and blue if you want. Or the new kit, or the warm kit.
Yeah.
These are
we haven't seen
that professional clubs depend on.
Yeah, true. We haven't seen that type of stuff in stores since. Remember those jackets that came out years ago that had the crest on the back. So you still see. I can't remember who done it, but you still see some people wearing those. The Somerset was the red and blue with the and St. George's, North Village, PHC. You still see some older guys wearing those with the logos on the back. So I mean, it was something that was done. I'm not sure if it was done through the clubs, but a lot of people took pride in buying them and sporting them on game days to show their support, kind of thing. So you watch a lot of professional football. And you see the thousands of people in the stands all wearing the replica jerseys. You said
that, right? So what does every fan fanatic, when it comes to the first let's say the professional team, you can't wait to hear when the jersey drops.
Yeah.
You're pre-ordering your jersey. League start 2 months away, but you want to make sure that you're pre-order because once it drops, I'm getting my jersey.
Right.
It creates.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you think it gets that to do that?
I'm sorry, you broke up. What was that again?
Do you think the local jersey gets that much hype to do it in Bermuda? In an abundance.
You got to create it.
Well, yeah, you have to create it. Yeah, definitely.
And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because most of our top teams, right? Our top clubs, right? Most of our top clubs have junior programs.
Yeah.
From U7 and up, maybe.
Yeah.
So how many players in a program?
Oh gosh. Some have 10, others have 100.
That's one jersey for them. Now, let's think now. The parents.
Yeah.
Just in your own program. I'm not even talking about anybody who's a fan of the club. I'm just talking about in your program.
Right.
Do you know if a young person knows that that's not the kit that the singers are wearing? Earl, growing up, come on, Earl. Earl, growing up, if you was able to wear that kit.
Sure. Yeah, you was begging to buy it.
Or you was begging your mom to buy it. Somebody had to buy it, right?
Somebody had to buy it. Yeah.
Or as a kid, what did you do? You hung around the changing room.
Yeah.
So you can create that.
Right.
Because those days of children hanging around changing rooms and used to get boots, whatever, goalkeeper gloves, jerseys, cricket. You got gear.
Yeah,
you got gear. So I'm not around these teams after the games to see what's left. But I just think there's opportunities, and I've spoken with a couple of presidents of clubs about this. There's opportunities where there's another revenue stream, these replica jerseys that that they're missing out on. They're really missing out on, and it's not just jerseys. I remember PAC a few years ago with the scarves.
Yeah,
and I saw some old pictures, and it was so funny. I saw some old pictures the other day. Remember the leather cap that looked like a football?
Oh yeah.
I remember PAC had the black and white hats like that. Boulevard had the red, gold, and green ones.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Well, could have been Conquering Lions back then. I don't know. But,
Maybe.
you know what I'm saying? But St. George's had the blue. Everybody had the little. Some had a red and blue one. So, I mean, the ideas are, the marketing ideas are endless.
Yeah, definitely.
Once upon a time, someone said, I believe in that PAC because there's always bleachers. So what everybody had, a cushion.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, with the Cubs crest and everything. Yeah.
If you can sit on that concrete now, everybody's got that little cushion, that little pillow to sit on.
Sure.
So let's think about it. You got cushions. If you need an umbrella, you need an umbrella. All these things can add so much, and once again, a revenue stream that a lot of these clubs are in need of. So, whether there's resources to that capital to get that stuff out there, that's something that could be talked, and even sponsors and whatever. I mean, because that's how I hate to say it. That's how the professionals do it.
Right. Well, let's take a next commercial break. When we come back, we'll have more with the Bermuda Football Association 2021-2022 season. We'll be right back.
John Barrett & Son, Bermuda's leading distributor of fine beverages, have brought us something fresh and exciting this month. Mystic Juices, skillfully blended for captivating flavor and loaded with nutritional value. Mystic Juices not only taste remarkably good, one serving will supply an abundance of vitamins A and C, more than the certified measure needed to meet your daily requirements. This month we're featuring delicious and nutritious Mystic Juices in an enticing range of flavors in 64 and 16-ounce bottles. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
My inspiration to write this book has to do with empowering. I want people to understand what it looks like when you are in a position when you don't have the tools around you. If you know me or don't know me, the game, the beautiful game of football, soccer, is and always was a way out. I'm still fearful on what to do, what would happen if I say something.
What can we do in this book to incorporate tools to help specifically our group of young people in Bermuda?
Could you imagine doing a read with little people and breaking everything down for them and having them to have a voice and having conversation pieces, if it's chapter by chapter?
And welcome back. Well, obviously, Jay, we turn our attention to the First Division opening week of the season. And of course, we know that we have Young Manchester Club hosting Wolves at Police Field, Vassal taking on Hamilton Parish at Southampton Oval, BAA entertaining St. David's at BAA Field, and Island Rangers taking on Paget Lions at Malabar, with Boulevard Blazers having a bye. Now, interesting, in the First Division, you have two teams returning to the league, that in BAA and the Paget Lions. Not much has been said about Paget. Not much has been heard about Paget. I'm pretty sure there's order advised that keeping everything close to the chest and what they will turn out. But, it'll be interesting to see that first week of football for the First Division, because it's promotion on the line. Right from the start, it's promotion on the line.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't know who's in charge of this schedule, but kudos to you, whoever you are, because this first week in the First Division, each matchup is a good matchup. It's the perfect matchup for each one of these teams for the first week. So I don't know who it is, who did it, but Joe Brown, because Shannon, high five, because I can probably actually go see all these games because it's a good matchup between the two teams, right? And I think all these teams, well, obviously, they all think they can win on the day, right?
Sure.
But as a pundit, as somebody just sitting on the side, I believe that anybody could win. I mean, really, anybody could win. So I've got a funny feeling, Earl. You might see a few draws on this day. But talk about, you were just talking about the two teams that are coming in. What would be a surprise team in the first division this year? Because St. David's, Young Men's Social Club, they might get a start here. They don't. This as another. I hate me saying this here, but they sort of they don't have the stamina if you want to get it.
Right. Well, you asked what would be a surprise team. Obviously, Wolves have picked up a lot of players, but can they gel together? That's going to be the ultimate goal for them to get going early in the season. Another team that plays up and down are the Boulevard Blazers. They have a bye the first round, but they are one that can be hot and cool. You just don't know which one's going to show up on the day. And then, of course, Young Men's Social Club was on a roll last year until the league, halted. And Hamilton Parish had run away with it quite a bit. Will they get another good start? Now we have Gary Adams coaching Vasco. So that's an interesting matchup first week of the season where Vasco take on Parish at Southampton Oval. So, how did that work for them?
This is me from the outside looking at it. These teams in this division, a lot of times, due to one particular situation, discipline. A lot of these teams don't have the discipline to stay in the Premier Division. Right? And that's discipline not when things are going good, it's when things are going bad. Right? So, what have they learned over the year? Will they repeat the same undisciplined play?
Right.
Undisciplined attitudes? Because we know, and Hamilton Parish is one of them. They argue when they're winning.
Well, I know Sergio has tried to change that culture, but remember, it's difficult to change it.
Because once again, we're talking about discipline.
Yes.
Right? We're talking about discipline. And that's my point. Discipline doesn't change overnight.
No.
You can bring a coach in here, you can bring
it didn't get bad last year because they were winning so much. It's when those tough times come.
And this is when I say winning, because like I said, in a game, you can go with the ebbs and flows,
Yes.
You can be 2-0 down and come back and win 3-2, like I saw a game today. Well, I didn't see it, but I heard a game today what happened like that. But that's what I'm saying. So these teams that are in the first division, a lot of times is discipline. And what will they have learned over this year? And how they react, because that along with that and the fitness, the other thing that a lot of these teams will, the difference is the speed of the game compared to the Premier, right? Yeah. So once again, it's more fitness. So that's why, like I say, I'm very, very, very excited for this first round because, I couldn't pick a winner. If I was had to pick, I couldn't pick a winner.
Well, listening to what you just said, something else popped into my head, which is going to be very, very interesting. And it's the reaction part. Because remember that it's been a year since they've played. A lot has happened over this past year, last few months, due to the pandemic. How does a player react to a hard tackle? How does a player react to, because remember, a lot of people have been home, working from home, just coming back out kind of thing and so forth. But you've got all this pent up energy and frustration and all this stuff is, how do we control that?
To be honest with you, Earl, that's player by player. And I'll tell you why. Because some players can't wait to go and kick somebody.
Oh, yeah.
Some players
they can't.
50-50? Oh, let me get this. I got this
you
one.
Can let me more.
Because Earl, not all players are technically sound and skillful.
Right.
Some players are there. That's not game. It's the crunch.
Yep. So make sure he don't come back down this side.
I don't think that player is going to have a problem. The only time they have a problem, Earl, and you will notice here, because they tell me you used to like kicking guys a bit, but what happens is the older you get, the more you feel it.
Oh yeah.
Not just today, but tomorrow, the day after, and the day after.
The people that tell you I like to kick guys are lying to you.
Oh no! They're
lying to you.
They said there was 2 Earl bases. The one that played up the front, and the one that played down the back.
the one that played up front scored goals on a regular because I was playing up front in school. The one that played down the back was the one for St. George's that I weren't retreating. So I weren't giving up free kicks. Man, hey, it means we have to retreat. We're in no retreating. Brother.
I'm not the person got to answer to you. I'm just saying.
Show me, hey, Warner Wolf, show me the videotape.
My sources have.
What are they, barbecue sauces or?
According to my sources. Okay? I do have sources in St. George's. You do know that.
Okay. Well,
you know I'm welcome when I go to St. George's. You know that we've been down there. I'm welcome down there.
Yeah. Listen, we welcome anybody down there. It's how long you stay.
You're right.
Because every entry has a expiry date. At the time.
Talking about that, I hate to change the subject to it, but hopefully the information about fans comes out sooner than later.
Yeah, I think that should come out. I think that should come out when the schedule is released on what the pros and cons are on for that. I know had the season started this week as it was anticipated, there were going to be no fans for the first week. But I don't know if that will continue on to next week, and then on to when the youth is due to start on the 6th. So we'll just have to wait and see once that is rolled out, and obviously when we get across this 50, the number 50, because if you look at the 2 teams, you take 18 or 20, Eddie and coaches, medics, all of that, that's 50 there before you even get the officials on the field. So all football games need an exemption. It's they're putting rules and regulations on sport, and not just football, but you're talking about outdoor sports such as hockey, such as rugby. Once you have 2 teams and officials, you kind of deadlocked on what you can and can't do after that. So
any word on netball?
Not as of yet. I think they were hoping to start in November, but I guess because now they would have a major problem because they have simultaneous games, youth games that go right through the day. So their numbers, if they have all the teams returning, that makes it even more difficult for them according to the rules and regulations that are in place right now. And that's unfortunate because it's the only girls' sport that attracts a lot of young ladies to play. And it'll be tough for them to even do all of that in one day. They will probably have to break it up and play over a 2-day period or find somewhere else to play one lot of games and another lot of games somewhere else. So I know that's probably right now got all the community scratching their head.
I think we had this conversation probably a couple of years ago, probably with the president at the time. But I keep talking about it. Having regional games for netball. I mean, years ago, and I grew up around netball. But having regional games, we had courts west in town, and try to find a court, whether it's a school, whether it's we're looking at Spice Valley or whatever you want to call the field now, to get that up. At one point in time, there was I think it was doing some things up at Cedar Bridge, but giving more opportunities because once again, it feels to me that we're really dropping the ball when it comes to not only just netballers or girl netballers, but when we come to girl football, the troubles they've had and try to get a league going the Hill 9. So it just feels for me that when it comes to the females, that there's almost an afterthought of really trying to push their sport and give them the opportunity, which once again they come out when there is
Yeah.
We've been a part of the celebrity netball, so we know what that's about, right?
Yeah.
And I miss it. I really do miss it. So, lady,
Right.
I miss it. But once again, I mean, just having that court down at Bernard's Park, I think we have to do better.
Yeah. Being that you're talking about women in sport, I want to say congratulations to Natasha Trott, who made history today, being the first female official to officiate in a CONCACAF tournament. First Bermudian female official to officiate in a CONCACAF tournament. She's officiating in Florida for the CONCACAF Women's Under 17 World Cup qualifiers. So,
and that goes to my point, Earl.
yeah,
He was given the opportunity.
yeah,
There was an opportunity.
yeah.
She took it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's been weeks and months of training that I've seen in the job that Cranston Williams has done with the coaching staff. He's done with the Bermuda Referees Association, what they've done, because there's always posting something on social media. So you're seeing them put the work in. And I remember that just having conversations. Look, there's opportunities for these guys, but we have to meet the challenge. And she's met the challenge.
She met the challenge, yeah.
She met the challenge.
I would love for her to do well enough in this tournament that they open the door for her to officiate at the Under 17 World Cup.
You know what? That's done. I'm gonna tell you, that's done. She's got this. She's got this.
Yeah. So,
And see, I hate to say this, Earl. We don't even have a women's league.
yeah.
So if you give them the opportunity, trust me. So I mean, it's I don't know. It's I know it's a bigger conversation.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we get to end on a high note with Natasha. So, buddy, see you next week.
I will be here, dressed in my costume, ready.
It's Halloween next week?
Well, it will be the Sunday.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll talk about that next week. Have a good night.
Take care, buddy.
Okay.